you will see that the previous year questions regarding the mammals have been asked from the syllabus directly. The topics mentioned in the syllabus is the origin of mammals, and the question has been asked very recently in 2023 about it. The questions have been asked about the dentition, the types of dentition, the general structure of the mammalian tooth, and the classification based on shape, attachment, succession. So we have to do it in detail. The general features of egg-laying mammals, general features of the pouched mammals, general features of the aquatic mammals, general features of the primates. So we will discuss these features in detail, and we will try to learn about different types of mammals. And yes, these topics are important. They have been asked, they can be asked again. And then we have endocrine glands. Again, they will be discussed at detail. First of all, to understand the other topics, let's first understand what mammals are. Mammals are basically the warm-blooded endothermic animals. So these are those animals which are able to regulate or maintain a constant internal body temperature regardless of the external environment. So there is a proper mechanism to keep themselves warm or cool whenever the need is necessary. Second point is about the mammary glands. The mammals contain the mammary glands. They have the milk producing glands, which are very specific feature about the mammals. That's why the name mammals. The mammals have hair or fur, be it in a large quantity or small quantity. For example, in case of bears, in case of dogs, in case of cats, you will see the fur body is completely covered in the fur. But in case of humans, in case of whales, in case of walrus, you will see very less fur. So there is hair or fur on the body. They have these are vertebrates. They have a proper backbone, and they have a proper internal skeleton made of the bone. Mammals have highly developed brain compared to previous types of organisms that we studied, be it amphibia, reptilia. The mammals have a large and complex brain. The mammals, they are able to breathe through the lungs, so they use lung for breathing, regardless of whether they live on the land or in the water. Like in case of whales, they live in water, still they have the lungs for breathing. They have differentiated teeth, meaning the teeth are of different types. You will find there are incisors, there are canines, there are premolars, molars, and all of these teeth, they are very specific in the function. Mammals have 4-chambered heart. There is presence of 3 middle ear bones called as the malleus incus tips, and they help in the hearing. Usually the fertilization is internal, and they do the live birth except a few egg-laying mammals. So this is about the general features of the mammals. The mammals have been divided into 2 subclasses. First one is prototheria. Prototheria include the primitive reptile-like egg-laying mammal. They contain the cloacal opening, and they do not have the external pinna. Like we have the air pinna, they do not have the air pinna. They have teeth in the early life, but adult life the teeth is lacking. For example, in case of platypus. So these are the egg-laying mammals. These are called as the monotremes or monotremata. These are mostly found in the Australian region. Second subclass is the theria. Theria are the modern viviparous. Viviparous means giving birth to the young ones. They do not lay the eggs. They have mammary glands with teats. And here you will see in prototheria, they have mammary glands without teats. So the young one, it does not suck the milk in case of the prototheria. It just laps the milk. Then these theria, the teeth are present throughout the life, and they have articulated ribs to the vertebrae. Now this subclass theria contains 2 infraclasses. One is the metatheria, another one is the eutheria. Metatheria contains the pouched, viviparous, rudimentary yolk sac and placenta is present, but it's very rudimentary. The young ones are born immature. They are completely immature when they are born, and they have to be kept inside the pouch in order to develop further. The mammary glands contain teats, but they open in the marsupium, and they have a choriovitelline placenta. The examples include kangaroo, koala. And in case of the eutheria contain the viviparous organism, which include placental mammals. These are born as miniature adults. They need parental care, and they have a considerable prenatal growth, as the gestation period are long for the eutheria. The young ones are born at advanced stage compared to the metatheria, and there is also the brain, which is highly developed, and tympanic bone contains the tympanic bulla. Dentition is proper, and maximum there are around 44 teeth. They include organisms from rodents, canines, humans, elephants, horses, and others. So this is all about the general features and the classification of the mammals. The mammals, they originated the journey of evolution. It began around the Mesozoic era, and then they flourished during the Cenozoic era. Meanwhile, there were these archaic mammals that slowly they underwent changes and they adapted to the climate, and then they started the process of evolution. So let's discuss about the Mesozoic mammals. These were the mammals, mammal-like reptiles. As we know, we have earlier studied about the origin of reptiles, where we even read about the one stalk where the mammal-like reptiles, they gave rise to the mammals. So and these were abundant during the Permian period, but then slowly during the Triassic period they started to decline, and then they never appeared. And if you will see the fossils of the Jurassic period, they became abundant during this period. So the Mesozoic mammals, they had some certain characters, like they had very small body size, they had sharp pointed heterodont teeth, meaning the teeth were of different types, and they had varied habits and diets. They were omnivores, carnivores, herbivores. So there were certain mammal groups during the Mesozoic era, like Pantodonta. Pantodonta was present in the upper Triassic, and they had dentition, which was more reptilian compared to the mammalian, and they had a single jaw. This single jawbone, it is a trait of a mammals. So they contained the single mammalian jawbone. So these were the Pantodonta. Then there were the Allotheria. Allotheria were present during the Upper Triassic period. They were found in Germany, and they had molars with 2 or 3 longitudinal rows of the tubercles. Then we have Triconodonta. Triconodonta were present during the Jurassic period, and they had 3 cusps. Then were the Symmetrodonta. Symmetrodonta were confined to the Upper Jurassic period, found in England and North America, and their molars had 3 cusps, which were arranged in a triangular format. Then were the Pentotheria. They were related to the Symmetrodonta, but their molars, they had 4 cusps. Cusps were rounded, and these fossils are present throughout the Jurassic period. So these were the various types of the mammal group present during the Mesozoic era. First was the Pantodonta, then Allotheria, then Triconodonta, Symmetrodonta, and Pantotheria. Then came the Cenozoic mammals. These Cenozoic mammals, they are considered as a transitional form. These transitional forms were present between as a link between the archaic and modern types of the mammals. The Cenozoic mammals included Creodonta, Condylarthra, Amblypoda. In Creodonta, they were the carnivorous. They had reptile-like brains and they had clawed digits. Then Condylarthra, they were the early ungulates. Ungulates contain the hoof shape, the hoofs, like in case of horses, in case of cows. They have these hooves, and they served as evolutionary intermediates between the hoofed and clawed mammals. And they had herbivorous dentition and low-crowned molars. Low-crowned molars are also called as the brachydonts. Then Amblypoda were the short-legged hoofed mammals, and they resembled early elephants in size. And then what happened, as you know, that when time progresses, slowly the decline of these archaic mammals took place. They were not able to adapt to the new ecological pressures, so they started to disappear. Their survival became difficult, and during that time even it was observed that the marsupials, which contained the pouched mammals, they migrated from South America to the Australia via the Antarctica land bridge, and they have survived there even today. So this is one of the Cenozoic mammals, a representative of the Cenozoic mammals. This is what they looked like. And after the decline of the archaic mammals, there were certain new theories about the about the evolution of the new types of mammals. So the modern mammals, they are considered to have been evolved from the lower vertebrates, which are neither fish nor bird, but it's considered that they have the evolution from the amphibians and reptiles as the likely source. The amphibian ancestry was discussed by T.H. Huxley in 1880, but this theory is discarded. They said that the mammals, they descended directly from the amphibians through a hypothetical group. He called this amphibious hypothetical group as the hypotheria. Since it was a theoretical concept, he said that the amphibians, they share the property of double occipital condyles with the mammals, and the aortic arch configuration, it's similar to some extent. But then this theory was rejected, as this hypotheria, any representative of hypotheria, was not found. There was no fossil evidence, that's why this was discarded. Then there was another theory about the reptilian ancestry, and it's an accepted theory, and we have certain evidences regarding the reptilian ancestry theory. It has like the living mammals, we have monotremes and marsupials. These monotremes, they show both the reptilian and mammalian features, like they have the pectoral and pelvic girdles, which are reptile like. The monotremes have the duck-billed platypus and echidna are present in the monotremata. And in marsupials we have kangaroo. So the similarity between the pelvic and pectoral girdles suggests the similar ancestry. They both have the single-headed ribs and cervical ribs. They have a single-headed ribs, and the skull features are also same, like they lack the lacrimal bone, presence of the reptilian vomer, and oviparity, that is both of them lay the eggs and show the meroblastic cleavage. And there is partial homeothermy. There is not a complete or extended or advanced form of homeothermy. If you will see marsupials, they also show some reptilian characters like reduced corpus callosum. There are large olfactory lobes, epipubic bones are present, unossified palate, and presence of epicondylar foramina. So these are the shared characters between the marsupials and the reptiles. There are serological evidences like the presence of similar blood proteins between the two. Paleontological evidence include that the records of the synapsida, especially the subgroups like Pelycosaurs and Therapsids, they act as an evolutionary link between the two. I have even discussed it earlier. You can see that there was an amphibian ancestor, and then slowly the reptiles, they arose from one of the ancestors, and slowly there was the rise of the Therapsids, from where the mammals also rose. So this is one tree you can show in the exam. You can draw in the exam the possible ancestral tree of the mammals and the reptiles. Next, we will discuss about the key reptilian ancestors that we have already discussed in the reptile topic, but here also there we had the synapsida. These synapsids were in the late Carboniferous, and it acts as a bridge between the reptiles and mammals. There was skull simplification and tooth differentiation between the two. So these are some of the groups of the synapsids like Cotylorhynchus, Ophiocodon, and Varanops. These were the early synapsids. Then Pelycosaurus, these were the early synapsids, and they were divided into two, Adaphosaurus and Sphenacodonts. Sphenacodonts were the carnivorous and Adaphosaurus were the herbivorous. Therapsids were present in the late Permian, and these included like these were the therapsids. They had mammalian traits. They had certain mammalian traits, like they had enlarged temporal openings, the formation of the secondary palate, there was enlarged dentary bone, and the reduced quadrate bone, double occipital condyles, and differentiated teeth. These are the qualities of the mammals. So these therapsids. And major therapsid lines include anomodonts and dinocephalians. Then were the theriodonts and cynodonts. Cynodonts include the cynognathus. They had the characters of heterodonty, secondary palate, dentary was only in the lower jaw, mammal-like ribs and skull features. And Ictidosauria, they include the highly mammal-like reptiles, fully dentary jaw, heterodont teeth, double occipital condyles, and they were the transitional form between the reptiles and true mammals. So this is the ictiosaurs. So these acted as the early ancestors of the mammals. Then there were various theories about the evolution of the molars in mammals. Different molars in mammals, they evolved from the reptilian ancestry. First theory was regarding the tubercular theory. It was given by the Cope and Osborn. He said that the three cusped molars were seen in the cynognathus, and these gave rise to the mammals. That's why we see certain three cusped molars in mammals. Another theory was a multitubercular theory, according to which the molars had multicust. But then there was a compromise theory that said that both of these diademodon and cynognathus, they acted as an ancestry, and that's why we see the present types of molars which have 3 as well as the 4 cusps. So these were the probable lineages. Then we have certain biological trends in mammalian evolution, like there is increased brain size and cranial capacity, development of the secondary palate, simplification and consolidation of the jaw and skull bones, reduction of the pectoral girdle, and streamlining of the body for higher functional efficiency. The time during the evolution, it is considered that the mammals evolved during the late Permian to the early Triassic period, and this is according to the fossil evidences. And the place of origin is between the South Africa and Central Asia. The causes of evolution are, as there was climatic fluctuations, there was need for the development of large brain and also advanced sensory systems. It enhanced the survival. The differentiation of the teeth, it allowed the mammals to exploit diverse food sources, thus derive their nutrition from various sources. They also exhibited endothermy and high metabolic rates in order to enhance the activity in various climates. The evolution of the viviparity and extended parental care, it increased the offspring survival. The nocturnal adaptation helped to avoid the competition with the dominant reptiles, and the extinction of the dinosaurs, it opened the ecological niches for mammalian radiation. So you know that there was a time when the dinosaurs were extinct. At that time, the mammals, they were just evolving and they were living in the burrows. That's why they survived, and due to their survival, they had a wide range of evolution. The genetic mutation and natural selection also guided the evolution of the mammalian traits, and the skeletal and postural changes, it enhanced the mobility and environmental adaptability. Dentition refers to the number, type, and arrangement of the teeth in the oral cavity of an animal. So, if you will look at the structure of the mammalian teeth, so this figure represents the structure of the tooth.